welcome to the Indigenous Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today I have Aaron Wadley-Child with me from New Mexico Bank and Trust. We're going to be talking about Banking 101 today. So before we get started, if you could just introduce yourself, give a little background about who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Aaron Wadley-Child. I am a commercial banker with New Mexico Bank and Trust. We're a local community bank whose main mission and focus, is really nurturing and helping out the businesses based in Albuquerque and the wider New Mexico area. I think that's really why I wanted to come visit with you, and thank you so much for having me. I know that from our discussions, there's a lot of need out there, and especially the rural and tribal areas in New Mexico. And so I just wanted to, introduce New Mexico Bank and Trust as an additional resource and see if, what we can offer to everybody you work with and see if we can maybe help anyone out.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for being here. So what is New Mexico Bank and Trust? What regions do you guys serve? And kind of who are you as a person?
Oh, okay.
Just to start off.
So New Mexico Bank and Trust, we were founded 25 years ago, and we service really the entire state, but we have a brick and mortar footprint in the Albuquerque area, down to Los Lunas and up to northern New Mexico. And my main focus as one of their employees is, really helping out the businesses. And my pride in that is really, I grew up in New Mexico. I was born on the west side. Went to school here, went to UNM, graduated a few years ago with my degree in finance. And so my main role is, meeting these new businesses, seeing what their needs are, and then, meeting with their owners, their employees, seeing what their needs are, and then, matching them with the bank and see how we can step in and really make people's lives a little easier and a little more efficient.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here and for doing this podcast with us. I think it's important for us and our liaisons and our entrepreneurs to start connecting in with more banks and resources, especially because with the discovery that we've been doing, some of the top needs and barriers all have to do with access to capital, financial literacy. So I think the more we're able to have conversations with banks, open conversations, the better we can serve our entrepreneurs here in New Mexico.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you. So I guess just to get started, what is a business bank account? What is the difference between a business bank account and a regular checking account?
Yeah. So, stepping back, it's not really a difference in what the account is. It's just what the money in the account's for. So obviously every person, or 90% of people should have a normal checking account where you go in with your debit card and just transact. Think of that just specifically for your business. So it separates the personal funds from any of the business funds, so you can keep track of all your money coming in for the business, what money's going out for the business, and kind of just keep it separated from your personal, just so it's a kind of its own entity.
Yeah. So why would someone maybe consider opening a business bank account instead of just putting everything that they're earning from their business into their personal bank account, or just, taking cash transactions?
Right, exactly. That's really funny. We see that a lot, especially with the smaller, newer companies. So I think the thing I would stress is really keeping track of the business's money, right? Because, ideally a business is going to start being successful, making money, paying its bills. And, you want to keep that separate so you can see where you're at. And then you can also kind of start planning for the future. So, and that's really where we're really good at partnering with businesses is, taking where your current financial position is, and then, talking with the business owner, seeing what their dreams and aspirations are, kind of what their goals are, what the goal for the business is, and, how that's affecting the communities around them. And then saying, okay, that's your goal. How do you get there with where we're at now?
So you guys kind of provide that helping hand, I guess, with your businesses?
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of my proudest achievements as being in the banking industry is really being that partner. It's not just I get a phone call to, I need money, or I need to move some money around, or I need to make a payment. It's, what are we doing? And then, 60-70% of my job is going out, meeting with these business owners and really, trying to provide some value and saying, what can I do to help you and help your business? Or if I can't do something, we know a lot of people at the bank, so maybe we can connect you with somebody that can help you in another way. So, my goal is really to just be a partner for the business and not just, some transactional,
Yeah.
need some money, here's some money.
Yeah, that's good. Um, so if a business is considering opening a business bank account, what are some things that they should consider
Mhm.
when like searching for a bank, and like what are some questions that they should be asking, and just things that they should be like looking for?
I think I would boil that down to do you want to just be a number in a system, or do you want to have a real relationship with your banker? I think any bank can just offer have a branch, go walk in, open a bank account. But the one thing I would ask is, am I getting the service and help I need, or is this partner really going to help me? And I think that's where there's a lot of success with businesses in the long term, is having those financial partners, not just with your bank, but having that relationship. Looking forward with have all these partners. How are we working together uh, to get where we're going for goal wise with the business? Or a lot of times the relationship's very symbiotic. So the partnership's not just for the business. You're often partnering somebody, and they're trying to get somewhere too. So I think I would boil that down to relationships.
Yeah, so looking for people or a bank you can trust and
Mhm.
who's more willing to look at you as a person rather just like the money that you're
Right.
putting into their bank.
Right.
So if someone's shopping around and they're gonna start, or they are wanting to
Mhm.
open their business bank account, are there certain steps or like paperwork or things that they need to have in order
Mhm.
to be able to open that bank account?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where Rainforest is a really good partner, because you guys, from the startup, are nurturing and helping people just with the basics of getting something organized, or getting a federal EIN, and a lot of those basic documents. Your articles of organization, your EIN letter, your operating agreement, and your driver's license. All those are the really basic documents that we'll just need to open a bank account.
Yeah.
And depending on how the entity's organized or how the business is structured, you can come in and ask, what do I need? And
Yeah.
then we'll help you out, put a list together, and help you
Mhm.
find what you need to get.
Yeah, that's good for people to know. Because when my husband and I went to go open his business bank
Mhm.
account, we didn't know like that we needed all these certain things.
Right.
So, but they gave us a list, which
Mhm.
was helpful. But I think a lot of times people are just so overwhelmed
Mhm.
that it's like, where do I even start?
Right. And I think we see that all the time. I mean, anyone just walking in, it could be a really overwhelming process, at any stage with a business. So, we sit down and explain why we need it. And, it's not even that where can you get it. I mean, oftentimes for like
Yeah.
articles of organization, a lot of people don't know that we can go online and then try
Mhm.
to pull them from there, instead of, try to rely on some document you had from 2 or 3 years ago when your business first got started. So
Yeah.
we'll really help out anyone that walks in.
Awesome. So one of the biggest things that we've learned through our program and the discovery that we're doing, especially working with Native American owned businesses that are run both on and off tribal land, is it's already hard to get like access to capital as it is. But when it comes to like running a business on sovereign and tribal land, um, it's even more of a barrier because we've found that a lot of banks are just not even willing to look at the business.
Mhm.
Oh, because they're on tribal land, it's too much of a risk.
Mhm.
Um, what should a business do if they encounter this problem? Like, and are there any banks or funding sources that you know that would be willing to work with companies run on sovereign land?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I met with a few of the tribal liaisons, and it's amazing the need out there in rural and tribal New Mexico, because there's a lot of banks that just kind of look the other way without taking any additional steps to see what's this case and what can we do to help this business out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't speak for other banks, but at least we know we have the support in house behind us from our legal team that knows, okay, we can look at this case. What exactly you're trying to do? If the entity is organized within the tribe itself as a tribal corporation, what do we need to do to? What documentation do we need, or what conversations do we need to have? And speaking with my team, that is a challenge that that's a conversation we're willing to have to help out these business owners, because just because you're on tribal land doesn't mean that we can't service you. Now, there might be a few more steps in it just because of the difference, but it's not something that we're just going to say we're going to balk at and not look at.
But you're willing to work with the businesses, and let's say that maybe they're not in a place yet where they can apply for funding. Would you be willing to work with them, tell them what they need to get in order order to then apply for that loan or qualify?
I think, and again, going back to those conversations with liaisons, oftentimes you just get a no, and then you just get a no. We really don't give no's, we just give not yet, and then we can explain, how can we strategize, again, going back to the goals of the business, how can we strategize to get where you want to go? It might be a no today, but it's going to be a conversation as to why it's a no today, and then what steps can we take, in a month, 3 months from now, to kind of relook at this and reevaluate where we're at.
And that goes back to that relationship, looking for a bank that's actually willing to work with you and see you as a person, not just as a number.
Right. And that's part of the reason I've only worked for financial institutions that were based out of Albuquerque. And, personally, I'm never going to.
New Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. You can go to a Bank of America or Wells, but they didn't live in Albuquerque growing up next to all the tribes. And so I think having that local support, that local leadership is really, really what can help us serve New Mexico itself, because I went to school on the west side, went to high school on the east side, went to UNM. I've been around it all my life, and I'm actually part Zuni too. So I have extended family that lives and goes through all the barriers too. So what can we do to help with the resources we have in New Mexico?
Awesome. So if a business listening, if they've encountered some of those barriers regarding access to capital, can they feel free to contact you or contact me, and then I can connect them to you?
I think
or what's the best way for them to get in touch?
I think the best way it would be, they can contact me. Obviously, you have my contact information, and then or contact you. But walk into a branch. Our local branch managers, our small business specialists all around. They just walk in and start asking questions. It's not just they're very helpful, resourceful people, and then obviously anyone that approaches you that needs help, give me a call, and then we can see what we can do to help out as well.
Awesome.
I think that's the big. I think that could be the biggest resource we can provide, is just answering the phone and answering questions for you.
Awesome. Well, I know it's a huge need and much appreciated, just to have banks willing to work with tribal and native owned businesses and provide just that extra, go through those extra steps, not just give that immediate no. So, and I know there is a huge need. So anyone listening, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Aaron if you have questions, if you want to open a business bank account, if you need to apply for a loan but you've received a no. We're able to at least, have that conversation and see what would work best for you, because we don't want there to be that huge barrier when it comes to access to capital. We're here to try to create solutions.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you so much for coming, sharing this information.
Absolutely.
Also for your enthusiasm, in partnership and working with us to try to help educate entrepreneurs on the resources available to them in the banking area. So thank you. I don't know if there's any other last thoughts or things you want to share.
No, I think, UNM Rainforest is stepping in, being an awesome resource, starting to nurture these startup businesses, connecting with resources. And, if we can just be another partner on the other side of it, from the financial side, seeing what we can do to help out, I think that's two great resources right there to help these small businesses get off the ground.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I am going to link and put information in the description on this episode so that you can access that. And then, of course, reach out to myself or to Aaron or walk into one of the New Mexico Trust branches. I was just saying how I'd never noticed them until I met Aaron and we started having conversations, and now I see them everywhere. So they are available throughout our state.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Cecilia.
Yeah.
And anyone listening, I mean, if we could be of any kind of resource, please reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you.